Simone Claridge with True Better You, presenting a case study today. Healing malabsorption and excessive thinness with the Masterfast system and Dr. Morse's protocol. Please pause for a second and read the disclaimer. Ivo Bove. He has done 108 days using mainly the Masterfast system and Dr. Morse's protocol. So now enjoy. May I introduce to you Ivo Bove's results?
Yeah, well, he's on the phone. He speaks kind of loud. So.
That's sweet. That's sweet.
Yeah.
So I mean, you're now after 2 months almost, or is that already 2 months?
Yeah, I started on the 10th of August, so
Oh,
I have to do. Yeah, I always have to get a calendar and figure it out. It's something in the 20s, um, November 20 something that I broke the fast. I want to say it's 9 weeks, but yeah.
How do you feel now after you have, done some
Well,
stuff?
yeah, every day on the Master Fast, pretty much since I started, maybe 2 or 3 days after I started the Master Fast, my head was clogged, where I was speaking nasally most of the time.
I remember that, by the way.
Uh-huh. And so now it happens at like about once or twice a week for maybe an hour or so, but at least it's not all day.
You had those cloggings right from the beginning, and then
Yeah, like I would say that starting maybe the third day, and then my head, I mean, there were some periods where, would unclog, but for the most part, I was clogged up for the great part of the day, every day. And I did some ear candling, but the thing with ear candling, you need to have a second person always doing it for you to do it properly, so I don't catch on fire. And
that would end the master fast and everything is fine.
yeah. So yeah, so I mean it wasn't, and then to buy all the candles to have to do a candle every day, on each year. So, I did some and that seemed like to relieve it a little bit, but in all honesty, I would have to do it probably ear candling twice a day, every day, and I guess I didn't have that kind of willpower to submit myself to candling. Now as far as candling, I'm still on the fence about because that the wax that you see when that comes out, I've done tests burning the candles without putting them in my ear, and you get the same exact stuff out. But what I understand it does because of the pressure, the air pressure, it does move stuff down. But what I see in the candle, the yellowness, isn't earwax. I know it sounds nasty if I say it, but if you taste it, which I've done,
That is fun.
I know it's not earwax.
Okay, I believe you.
Yeah, so I put it. I mean, because I've done it, during the Master Fast. I've done some ear candling before, and I also run tests without putting it in my ear and just burning it, and it's the same thing. So, but I do understand the pressure, because in many cultures they'll do the same thing, but they'll put a cigarette in the ear and light it, and so it kind of pulls, but so I can readjust the pressure in there.
Yeah, so now you have done, I mean, complete 108 days.
I'm sorry that I did not.
You have had no break. It was, I mean, 108 days. I mean,
Yeah, I did 108 days straight, and then I did 3 days of just juice afterwards, and then on the 111th day when I finished that the marker when that 111th day finished, I started the solid food intake. I did three little like mandarins, the fist size, in a and I was doing that for a few days, just having some like a fist size worth of fruit per day, some juicy fruit, mandarin, because I had my mandarin tree, and so that's what I had.
but where
In
are you living? I'm not sure where.
San Antonio, Texas, is where my master fast spanned. I was in San Antonio, Texas. I was in Mexico for a month, which was a little harder when you're traveling, having to carry all your tinctures. And I had to bring a suitcase full of grape juice because in some places in Mexico you cannot get this grape juice unless you're in a big city or somewhere where they have Costco in Mexico in the bigger cities. but some places it's hard, and so it's I had to have a suitcase full of juice. So it's kind of a hassle, and to travel sometimes when if you don't have certain things available. But I had all my psyllium pudding and my tea and all my tinctures. I flew in with all that, and then also in Florida. I was in the week and a half I was there. I was on the master fast as well. So, yeah. And then I decided, you know what, for the last 2 months, I'd rather just, I came here to San Antonio, Texas, my home base where my parents retired. And I figured I'd stay here and it was a lot more conducive than move around while doing it.
Wow. But I mean, when we met, you have been, I think there was a dry fast you have been doing, right? So how many dry fasts have you been doing in the whole master fast?
Um, in the minimum required master fast is intermittent fasting every day. Minimum required is 12 hours a day. I average about 15, I would say 15, 16 a day. And then once a week, you do a 24-hour or more. I average usually 36-hour uh, dry fast and once a week. And then once a month, you try to go for the long one. And the longest one I did was 72 hours. Again, I started implementing dry fasting in April of 2016. So I'm a newbie, if you will, in dry fasting. So, you start slow, and you push and you see where you get at. And so, yeah, it's every day the intermittent dry fast. Once a week, you do up to 3 days. And then once every season change, Gino suggests to go up to five for those that can, 5 days. But not if you're a beginner. I mean, you work up to it little by little. And yeah, it's I felt weak. Gina always talks about when you're dry fasting and you feel weak, you need to start moving around. You need to do things, and that'll give you energy. And many times I felt like I couldn't. I would have to. And one day I almost passed out on the street in Mexico. And yeah,
Whoa,
on
whoa.
my dry fast day. So I just felt like I was so weak on the last few hours before breaking it that yeah, like I had to watch out for my movement. I was in slow motion. So, it's something to be done with prudence and caution and know the limits, but at the same time you want to be pushing. So, it's a delicate balance.
Yeah, what was the most strangest push or a challenge for you? Say it in this way.
With the master fast, well, I mean the dry fasting, trying to push it longer, like the 3 day dry, because I lost so much. I guess, well, I can't say I really lost a lot of weight. I lost 17 pounds, about, I believe, 8 kilos total, which isn't a lot of weight for 3.5 months if you look at it. But I started the fast underweight at 99 pounds, which I believe is 45 kilos. And, uh, and I got down to 82 pounds, 37 kilos.
Oh,
Okay, that was my lowest my last week. Uh, the first month, it seems like I didn't really. Maybe I lost a few pounds. I could didn't I've seen fine because I was doing my all my push-ups that I could do, and then the first month and a half, it seems like when I looked at myself in the mirror, it didn't look like I lost any weight. But after that month and a half, I started noticing. Then I started dropping. In the 2 month mark. Then I did lose muscle mass. I couldn't do as many push-ups. Eh, I was getting weaker, and after that 3 day dry, the longest dry I did, I felt really weak, and so for that following week, I had talked to some other uh, uh, master fasters. I know I talked to Carl Frugivore Mulder that he's done 160 days, and he started underweight, and he was saying to just the intermittent fasting after that to maybe make the window shorter and maybe drink more juice, to recoup energy. So after that 72 hour that I felt really weak and yeah, my kidneys hurt. So we have this thing, we use a burnt stick in the kidney area to massage. And that really helps. And also helps to get somebody to just put their knees on your back and, and just massage your lower back on top of, and then you can do the stick as well on your kidneys. Helps so much, especially on those longer dries. You really can be in pain. And but yeah, after that three day dry, I had to scale it down. Maybe I went down to 12-hour dry, intermittent dries, and I drank more juice. I took in more juice because I felt I had to recover more energy. So and then I was able to go back to the 15, 16-hour intermittent dries, and eventually take a little bit less juice. So it's a game of know when to push harder and when to slow down. Kind
Yeah, I
of.
mean, you mentioned also that wooden spoon and I would say training, the muscle training. So what could you do with a wooden spoon? Um, because I understand it is used for the acupuncture or acupressure points in order to stimulate the energy flow. And
Oh, okay.
and what is about what could you train? What is the physical activity that you have been doing over the days
Well,
then?
with the spoon, it was just to massage the kidney area, basically, because especially when you're in the longer dries, I mean, some people may feel pain in there even without doing the long dries. Everybody's, it's different, and it just alleviates, gets moving, it gets things moving in there to help the kidneys filter and move those acids. And so it's a tool that really helps when in those situations of discomfort. And then you were asking about activity.
Yeah, yeah. I would like to know what you have been capable of doing. And I mean, the most people I'm in contact, they don't have the ability to stop working, or is that really conducive to someone is I mean, full-time working and
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah, you can do everything as long as you don't have a strenuous job where you're lifting, heavy boxes, as
Okay.
long as you're not lifting heavy things, uh, well, it depends on the physical condition of the person. But I mean, for most people, most of their jobs don't require lifting heavy objects. So yeah, you can do it no problem.
Well, but what is when you have to do a dry fast? I mean, you
On
probably
the dry fast, that's why, like, if you're working full time, then you want to probably time your dry fasts. Maybe you could start it on Friday if you have Saturday and Sunday off, uh, and then go dry on the weekends. And what I liked on the dries, like on the weekly dries, what I found a good formula that works for me is if you start the weekly dries around 2 in the afternoon and end it at 2. I mean, well, or you can even midday, and then you go 36 hours. It's a lot easier because if you start your dry at like 7 at night, it just seems harder for me. It seemed like it's easier to start it earlier in the day, and able to go the 36 hours. And so if anybody's working, they just do it on the weekends, whatever days that are off.
so you think
Because
it's doable, right? You do think it's
yeah,
doable.
yeah, and there's plenty of people that are working that are doing it.
I remember that we talked the first time about losing the weight, and that this was a challenge for you. Can you talk a little bit about that?
Yeah, well, this is everybody that's underweight. Obviously, people who are overweight doing the master pass are going to be, very happy, losing the weight. But people, can be apprehensive when they start underweight, like me, but there's several of us out there that are, that have put our testimony in helping people out. But the thing is that healing, nature's operating table, does not take into consideration our ego or what we deem is normal look for us. And nature will do what it needs to, and if it needs to take you down to skin and bones in order to build you back up, that's what it needs to do. But most people, because they have to go to work or family and everything, people are going to comment and that constantly. So it's kind of stressful in a sense because people may think you're anorexic. People may think, who knows, you have some disease, that you're dying. So people start to get worried around you and think that you've just gone mad. And so emotionally, you need to be in a place where you are able to deal with this. because it can get very stressful. I know in my situation, even people that didn't even know me in the street would comment or would say something, or no, I had to bring my van to a mechanic to get some things done. And when I was talking to the workers there, and they're like, "Hey, you're really skinny. You need to eat. You want some? Here's some food." I was like, "No, I'm okay." But that they take liberties to tell you these things without even knowing you. Whereas if you're overweight, people in society are won't comment on the weight. But if you're underweight, people won't have a problem to comment. It's kind of interesting thing I noticed. And so, yeah, it's something to deal with. Also, the emotional ups and downs, because this system, will bring it takes you out of your comfort zone. So it'll bring about the good, bad, and the ugly, as we all say. And so you're going to have to, deal with some emotions that will resurface, maybe some issues that have happened long time ago, you know. So it's not just the physical aspect, but it's the emotional aspect that surfaces, and it can be very stressful, and just getting stressed out with people around you. That happened to me too, where I kind of almost just wanted to be by myself. So especially the last 2 months, I didn't, to be out traveling and dealing with more people, even though it was people I didn't know because I'm traveling a lot of times. But yeah, so sometimes it depends. Sometimes it's kind of best to not be around too many people. So, if you're working, you have a lot of family member, a lot of responsibility, it can be a challenge, especially when you're pushing, and a lot of those emotional things surface, and you may feel weaker physically, and so it's definitely challenging.
Well, I mean, in my understanding from how we are built, we are for sure not the physical body just, and of course there are the emotional body and the mental body and the spiritual body and the energetic body. So what is might be a challenge, and that's why my question now for you is all sounds, or everything that is more on an energetic level, which could be magnetic fields, sounds, vibration, heat, or cold, or whatever. How did you sensitize to those things, or did you feel a difference? I mean, when you said that the emotional part started more towards the end, so that might be something that you start to feel different things you haven't felt before, or
Well,
realize.
you're more irritable in a sense, and I mean, I didn't actually, I didn't, I wasn't around like really loud noises. I was in big city. I was in Mexico City for a week and a half, and then I was in other places. I was at Puerto Vallarta, which is a beach town, going swimming while I was on the master pass a little bit too. So I was in different environments. Well, it seemed to do okay, but I wasn't in really loud places. Um, but I just say just more for me. It was I was very irritable and short fuse in a sense.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not doing the master fast yet, and I can find this when I eat, I mean, a lot of fruits and things like this. I get sometimes really short, when you're um, yeah, doing a lot, working a lot, and don't get the rest. It seems to be more on top of it, so like
Well,
emotion
but
on top of it.
yeah, yeah, definitely. But I was getting the rest. I didn't. I always whatever my body required. Some days I got more than others. But yeah, I didn't skip out on that. I mean, the rest I did get. But still, it was very irritable, and which is kind of good because if you're at peace with yourself, then it doesn't matter in what situation you're in. So all that does is when I was very irritable, is just tell me, wow, I have things to work on. So it just brings things to the surface that I think if one is really at peace, then a lot of things won't bother them. So I guess I think it just brings things to the forefront and shows, hey, you need to work on this,
Oh
that,
yeah, I mean that's for
yeah.
sure. So and it looks like there are people that do this even longer. What is your after 108 days, your how you say most accomplishment? That what you recognize the most and what you value the most at this time in your life?
Well, Well, I mean, for me, the reason why I got on the master fast was for malabsorption issues. I transitioned into a predominantly, I mean, I'm a raw foodist, basically. Mainly fruits and then leafy greens, some nuts and seeds. I may occasionally have some steamed non-starchy vegetables or non-cruciferous. Um, but mainly I would say I'm 98, 99% raw. And that what my issue is because since I transitioned 5 years ago, I lost weight, lost weight, lost weight. And then when I went pretty much high raw, um, I got even lower weight. And it seemed like I couldn't put on weight and I was always, underweight. And I think the master fast is just an accelerated way to clean out the pipe system. Yes, you can do the Arnold Ehret mucusless diet healing system, the Herbert Shelton, get into the, as far as the hygiene. Uh, but those systems will take a longer time. And they're still good systems, and I think it'd be good people to get on those and understand those because they're the forefathers of that what made today's healing modalities possible, But they are slower, and I think with the master fast, it helps clean out the pipes. It's an accelerated clean out, even though 108 days is just scratching the surface. And after these 108 days, I feel my digestion is much more efficient. Um, I'm by no means, done, but I'm probably not going to be doing another master fast because I'm going to be traveling for 5 months. I won't be thinking about doing another one till I get back because traveling it's already hard to get all the stuff and then getting herbs, and all that sometimes through customs and all this can be sometimes difficult in certain countries.
Right, and you're going to Thailand. Did I understand that correct?
Yeah, I'm going to start in Thailand, then probably Malaysia, Indonesia,
And you
maybe
go to
China.
heaven, to fruit heaven. My God.
Yeah, I've been eating durian almost every day here, which is a higher concentration of fat, than normal than a lot of fruits, and it's really good. And I was like, hey, it's getting really expensive. Might as well go where they have it and be in a tropical weather because even though I'm here in San Antonio, Texas, which maybe for many people it's not as cold as the northern states in the U.S., but for me it's cold. Um, I prefer tropical weather where people are suffering and complaining. That's what I like.
That's really sweet.
And I spent my formative years in Panama, Central America,
Oh,
and I loved it. So I love really hot tropical weather. So for me, that's where it's at, and I'm happy to be there. I just bask in the sun like a lizard.
wow. Are you thinking of doing some work there, or are you traveling and just, I mean, enjoy the time there?
Yeah, just traveling, rent places, kind of just basically what I always do because I'm pretty much a full-time nomad. I've been doing this for over a decade. And I just, yeah, I'll always get work sometimes. I'm a musician, also a health coach. I've also even dabbled in, I've gotten hired as a chef as well. So, it depends. But I have my own, stream of, kind of income that allows me to be able to travel, but I travel on a very low budget in a sense, and I know how to do it. I've been doing it for years on how to cut costs and not overspend. But yeah, I never know. Sometimes I never know. I'll get gigs somewhere or join a band in another country. I've done that many times. But really my main goal is just to eat a lot of durian and just to be in the sun and learn from the local cultures. Because when I travel to a different country, my goal is not to be amongst other Westerners, foreigners. If I'm going to be in a culture that's different from mine, my goal is to integrate as much as I can to the local culture. So that's what that for me traveling is to learn from wherever I'm at, the people that I'm around, the local culture, and try to get something out of it.
Now that's getting now interesting. So, how much is now your master fast helping you to do this even better?
how it's helping me do this even better. Well, it's made me realize that our main nourishment is really air. Um, we can live without food a certain amount of days, right? Or, I mean, months, right? Uh, we can live without water a few days. Of course, there's the people that are, the longest, I think, dry fast that's recorded in modern, times right now. It's a Russian guy, I think 29 days. You got Gabrielis, that did 15 days, and then with some eating, then 12, and then you got Gino who did 12 days. You have, other people doing dry fast, but this is fasting, dry fasting. And then there's people which I don't know personally, but I'm in contact with all over the world that are pranic or breatharians. That some that have been subjected to some testing, some medical testing. You got Ray Moore that in Israel came out on a TV show for 8 days. He was under supervision and cameras, and doctor came and checked his vitals and all his blood work, and they were amazed because if he was in fact fasting, they certain levels would be dropping, but they weren't. So which indicated that he was nourishing himself by some means. And also, I can't pronounce the name. There's a guy in India who's 70 years old who they had him in under doctor's supervision for 2 weeks, and in his bladder he would have urine, and then it wouldn't have urine, and have urine because the body is recycling its own fluids. Now there is a scientist from Mexico called Arturo Solis Herrera, and he wrote a book on human photosynthesis and has a lot of technology based on this principle, and basically got patented for his work in Russia. The Russians are usually pretty more on the cutting edge as far as this type of thinking, and he basically is credited with uh, discovering, I guess, human photosynthesis, that we're this idea that we can get our nourishment kind of like plants do. So, there's a lot of stuff. Sounds crazy. It's not, founded by science, but, some people need the verification of white coats, for them to feel comfortable doing something. And, everybody's at a different place. But with all new ideas, we lived in Newtonian physics, and then Einstein came along and changed things around. And so things are always changing. Our understanding of the natural world is always changing. And so I think we need to have an open mind like a child, and just to be able to be open to the idea that maybe tomorrow we might need to scratch everything we think we know and start from zero again. And I think this will allow us to push forward and come to new understandings and new developments, and to be able to be healthier.
Right. Would you say that it is probably more true that people, they can do that, they do access a different conscious level, and they live in a different real sense, a different world? Doesn't mean that this world won't affect them, but could you see and sense for yourself there was somehow maybe a shift for yourself where you are a little bit more off that so-called normal world we are living in?
I just come to realization. I mean, I can't say that it was a tremendous shift, like in that sense, how you're asking, but I just came to realizations that, that really breathing is so important. And I think that sometimes maybe the master fast is kind of teaching us to all be able to get some type of nourishment from the air, from breath work, because breath work is required. And you realize how we eat for entertainment. um a lot of times we're not eating for hunger, where some people are eating for emotional reasons, some people are eating for social reasons, a lot of people, for entertainment. Because during my whole master fast, because I've been preparing foods. I come from an Italian background. uh, Spent my up to 12 years old in Italy, and I've been working with food all my life. And so for me it's just like it's art. And so I was preparing food for family, friends every day without tasting it, because I mean, I don't need to taste food. I I know what I'm doing, you know. And it was watching people enjoy the food I made and just smelling it. I was getting nourished from it.
I
And
hear.
there are people that talk about this, that you get nourishment from just smelling the food. So I would like to add to that idea that if you're in a massive fast, prepare. I mean, if you are the kind of person that loves to, cook or uncook, actually, if you're playing raw foods, I mean, oh, to do that, and there's a lot of people with families preparing for their kids, their husband, their wives, and that really helps. It, I don't know how to explain it, but just working with food, it nourishes you even though you're not eating. And I didn't have the desire to eat or the temptation, and I
Mhm.
could have. No, no one was looking at many times, but I didn't have that desire to eat. And just watching them enjoy what I made, because I believe when we prepare food, the love gets transferred to it, and we're transferring that love when they eat the food to the person who's eating, ingesting it. And so that's just so fulfilling for me.
Oh
Yeah.
man, yeah, I hear you. And now I'm getting a little bit like, oh man, I need to meet you that you prepare something for me.
Yeah.
No, but I come from the same area. I love to prepare things, and I have the same experience like you. Whenever I cook for other people, and the preparation is so much fun for me to be in the kitchen, and I wasn't hungry after that all, and everyone was eating. I was done. I was completely full, and I haven't snacked around or anything.
And there's other people that are now I'm more aware of, that I'm seeing, that they're saying the same thing. And what I noticed, because I when I was younger, I worked in restaurants, I worked in kitchens, and I had friends that worked in kitchens. Had a friend that was worked in a kitchen and was preparing food all day, that was never hungry. I mean, wasn't that hungry. And then obviously people who work in the kitchen, they never want the food that they make, because they're like, oh, I know the taste of everything. It's boring now. But um, it's kind of interesting that if you talk to people that work in kitchens, um, you know, there's quite a few that say that they, they're not that hungry, just because they're around food all the time. So there's a lot of things that I think science has, has still yet to have come to grips with, as far as understanding that we have to we live in a world where if we can't measure with our five senses, it doesn't exist. But that world is crumbling fast. And because I think it is that we can only perceive 1% of the physical universe with our five senses. We're so limited, so there's a lot we're not grasping with just using the five senses.
Yeah, didn't you had even a meetup group in San Antonio? Is that correct, or is it?
I run a raw vegan health group for San Antonio and Austin, and we'll have gatherings, and then I'll also go to gatherings from other Facebook groups, fruitarian raw groups when I go. If I was in one, and for Houston, they set up a meetup for me, a gathering. I've been to some in Austin. So yeah, it's kind of good to have to create a community and get together, and especially for the newer people, it's really good for them because they can get tips from people who have done it uh, a longer time, and so it's really good for them, and to be around other people that eat in the what many deem peculiar way.
Yeah, yeah. So,
Yeah.
what would you recommend for someone is on the edge of, I would like to start it, not sure yet. So, kind of, how would you
Well,
inspire them?
yeah. Well, what I would say is just join the MasterFast page and just hang in there for a few months and just observe. Just observe. Read obviously the MasterFast, like what the requirements are. It's clear cut and dry. Um, so make sure you read all the instructions, and then just hang around in the page for a couple of months, and just see, because there's testimonies coming in every day, and situations and questions, and so just be observant and for a few months, and then you may want to try a short one, just to try, and you can do a short one, and then and maybe do a hybrid one at first, where you might eat one meal a day of fruit, and then the rest do the master fast. So there's different ways to get started, but I believe that's the best. Read all the instructions and understand all the herbs. Basically, it's all tinctures, no powdered herbs, because powders it will induce digestion more. So and the minimum is to Fab 4, although Gino recommends he has a nine tinctures. The more herbs, the better. I did like the Fab 6 in a sense. Also, Gino's herbs mixes parasite M and G from Dr. Morse, so you kind of have two herbs in one tincture in one bottle, and his are 2 to 1 instead of 4 to 1 like Dr. Morse's. So not only are they more cost effective, but they're actually more powerful. So uh, that's another bonus. And that's what it is. I think Gino's system. It's he doesn't charge for what he does. It's donation based. Yeah, he sells his herbs, but he tries to keep the herbs at a low cost. So that's what I think the new paradigm shift. I think for this world. I think, like Gandhi said, we have to be the change we wish to see in the world, but we need to be an inclusive society, which not so elitist, where it allows people from all financial backgrounds an opportunity to be able to heal. And the thing is that on the website it talks about if you can't afford those tinctures, at least it tells you what herbs. You can look at the herbs on the tinctures, and then you can. I think they even shared the links on how to make your own herbal tinctures, and to also look around you a lot, because we have a lot of weeds that we consider weeds. They're herbs. They're saying, "Come, get me, eat me, take me," but we want to spray them and pull them out. So there's different ways for people, even no matter what your financial uh, constraints are, to be able to do it. So it's not about, oh, just buy my herbs, or you can't do it. No, you can make your own herbs, and however you can do it. And then the fact that you're drinking this pasteurized juice, and it doesn't matter if it's organic or not. It can have ascorbic acid in it, or not, but make sure it doesn't have high fructose corn syrup and all this other additives and junk. Most people are getting, for the people living in the U.S. and parts of Mexico and Canada, North America, and then they're going to Costco and getting the Kirkland brand. In the U.S., it's $6.98 for 2 bottles, which are 96 ounces each. So that's a pretty good price. Or some people want to do the organic route, and they'll get some organic bottles. However you want to do it, but it's accessible to everybody, no matter what your financial background is. And then the psyllium pudding with the psyllium, the bentonite clay, and the activated charcoal. And that's what I like, is that it's it's based on donation. If you want to donate at any time and help help them out, because Gino is offering a lot of his time. He's there 20, constantly answering all questions. It's amazing how diligent he is with the site. And so and in making it available to everybody. But at the same time, people have to read the information before they start asking questions on the site. Read all the instructions, and then just observe, just watch, because there's testimonies coming in every day. People are healing things, and we're talking about people who've been raw foodists for years, and people who have been trying to do it eating, and people who have been trying to get that reach a plateau with whatever system they were using, and they're having great results with the master fast. So I think the results speak for themselves, and just hanging out on the page, people can get a lot of insight and information. And then once a week that he has a meetup, kind of online through zoom.com, where we can ask questions, and he talks about a lot of things. So that's kind of a good hangout to get even more information. So he's really created a nice community, and
Well,
with a lot
that's
of where people support each other. And yeah.
yeah. I mean, thank you for all that information. What do you think per day you have to spend on money? Just how you did it, So what
Well,
was your?
I got Gino's herbs. I had some Dr. Morse herbs too.
Uh-huh.
And then I got a lot of herbs in Mexico. I get herbs for like 90 cents for a bag of dried herbs, which I put in my teas. They have a long history for the Amerindian peoples, prior, to the conquest. Long history, and all cultures in the world have a long history with herbs. before, pharmaceuticals came in and try to, push that away. So there I can get a lot of herbs for cheap, really cheap. So, but I used them like the Fab Six from Gino, and then I had a lot of herbs working on the things that I was working on. I had some from Dr. Morse and a lot of herbs from Mexico as well. That I put the ones from Mexico, they were dried herbs, so I put that in the tea when I made the tea, in addition to the kidney tea, because we use a kidney tea like Bell's kidney tea, or some people can use Heal All tea from Dr. Morse, which has some kidney herbs in them. But the one they really recommend is the Bell's kidney tea, or make your own, I think with dandelion and some other things, a bunch of other kidney herbs.
Yeah, did you see? I mean, did you had an opening for the kidneys? When
I
did
didn't have that great breakthrough like many people did. They were filtering very little because I checked the sediment, especially on the dries. That's when I really checked them. But I didn't have a breakthrough like, let's say, amazing, like where you see a lot of sediment. No, I could have very little sediment. So there, there's more work for me to do. There's definitely more work. Like 108, we're just scratching the surface. I feel my digestion has improved. Also, another thing I notice is that I'm right now when I eat, I don't feel like, I mean, as as when you're a raw foodist, as far as those, what people deem as hunger, that the tripe, growling and from the stomach, we all know, that's not hunger. Hunger is really a dryness in the throat, and that wouldn't happen until we exhausted all our reserves, which would take, who knows, could be a month, 40 days, different for everybody, of fasting, you know, without any nutrients coming in. So I noticed that now when I eat, I'm averaging 2 meals a day. There's some days I may have one, and there's some days I'll have three. But average is 2 meals a day with juice now. And I've noticed that I'm not eating something when I eat that second meal, it's not for hunger. It's just that I want to experience taste. So I'm eating for entertainment because there's no growling in my stomach or anything like that. I mean, nothing like that. It's just, we're used to it. Right now I'm here with my parents, and so we get to, the ritual of eating with people, and so you eat something, kind of thing. So it's been 2 times a day, and but yeah, just that realization that it's just eating for entertainment. It seems like, and for social reasons sometimes.
Yeah, I mean, I found also that like as a reward, if you have worked a long time and you haven't done something for you, I saw myself doing that. Like, okay, that's now my time because it's my food. That might be a contribution for it. So, but this is when you really look at it, this was a thought, and when you start to question those thoughts, then you question if you really need this food right now.
Yeah.
So it's all fun. Well, I mean, I think you have spent I don't know, probably an hour with me, and with hopefully people, they might be interested on that.
Yeah, that would be great. Yeah.
Extreme good, valuable information. I thank you so much, and yeah, I wish you for the 5 months. I mean, the experience, especially connecting with people, that is an exchange I think you also may look for.
Yeah.
This probably gives you the experience and the breakthrough you have set up with the Master Fast. On an energetic level, it is an exchange of electricity, which is, in communion, if you want to say, otherwise it won't. And I think you will bring us a lot of new insights by doing what you're doing. So the Master Fast seems to, for me, has helped you even further to be able to go out in the world and bring new information to that starving society we have now, that people are not even knowing each other, not even able to commit to each other, or at least communicate with each other. So
Yeah.
I'm looking forward to that, Ivo, to have more
Thank
of
you.
that.
Thank you. And on the Master Fast page, I'll probably be sharing another 2 months, 2 or 3 months, my progression. It's been about, I think, 9 weeks, and I've I'm between 97 and 100 pounds, so I've already reached my starting weight. It took about 9 weeks to get my weight of my starting weight of the Master Fast, which is still underweight for my height. I'm 5'5", 1.67 meters tall, and I'm weighing between 97 and 100 pounds. I started the Master Fast at 99, got down to 82, so I started at 45 kilos, got down to 37 kilos. And so it took me about 9 weeks to get back to the weight that I started at. And I think I got some days I'm 1 pound heavier. So I think in the next 2 months I'll be able to at least have document that how how the Master Fast has worked on that and helped me with malabsorption issues. Yeah, we can definitely do that. I've been doing this for years. I grew up. I don't know if you've heard of the sociologist. There's a term that they use that's called third culture kid. I'm basically a third culture kid adult, and we are children that grew up in several countries that have had to assimilate different cultures and languages. I speak 5 languages. Um, and so like it's been a part of my whole life constantly being in different places, and I continue this as an adult, and I feel like every culture and language has an operating system, if you will, kind of like a computer, and it's the lens through which one interacts with its world. And so the more cultures one assimilates, even though not at 100%, the wider the scope and the range of your interaction with the world, and how to resolve certain issues, or maybe the importance one gives to certain issues over others varies between culture and culture. So it's definitely anytime I think that I expose myself to something different, it allows for that window of comfort zone, to expand and expand.
We apologize for the abrupt ending, but thank you so much, Ivo. And please, if you like what you heard, if you want to know what Ivo is doing, stay connected with Facebook. The link is here. And Simone Claridge with True Better You wishes you all the best, saying goodbye. If you want to contact us, then follow the link truebetteryou.com/contact. Stay tuned. See you soon. Bye bye.